So I'm Sophia, I will moderate the session today, and I'm a member of the local Greenpeace group in Rostock, and I already visited 2 other Greenpeace ships, and I'm happy to learn more about the Esperanza today because that's the biggest ship of the Greenpeace fleet. And yeah, the Esperanza is here in Rostock for a logistical stop in order to prepare for the next campaign. And yeah, due to Corona restrictions, the lay days are somewhat longer. And yeah, but at the same time, the crew is using the time to keep the ship in good shape and for additional training, so the time isn't wasted. And to give you a short overview, we will start with an introduction of the local Greenpeace group done by Flo. And I will give you some information about Greenpeace ships in general. And yeah, we will have afterwards, Anna Paula, a crew member, will take you for a tour on board. And then we will have some time to listen to stories of the crew members. So you will learn about the life on board and learn about different actions the crew members have participated. And after each part, there will be some time for questions. So whenever you have a question, please write it down in the chat. German and English are both possible. Yeah, we will translate it and select the questions. And I will have some support by Claudia and Flo. And yeah, they will shortly introduce themselves now. And you will also learn a little bit more about Greenpeace Rostock. So maybe Claudia, you want to start and shortly introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Claudia, and I joined Greenpeace in January this year. And today I'm in charge of the chat moderation.
Yeah, hi, or moin, as we say here in Northern Germany. I'm Florian, and I'm an activist in the local Greenpeace group here in Rostock. Some of you may already know us, but some won't, so I'll give you a short introduction to our group. We banded together in early 2017, so it's almost 4 years ago now. We are a small group of volunteers, one of about 100 groups in Germany, and countless more all around the world. Like everyone at Greenpeace, we want to protect nature, prevent pollution, and promote peace. Yeah, since the ongoing climate crisis poses an enormous threat to nature and people alike, we are focusing on reducing Rostock's CO2 emissions wherever possible. This is why we have been working in recent years to shut down the local coal-fired power plant, reduce car traffic, cut consumption, and help people make a contribution to climate protection in their everyday lives. Let's take a look at what we've done and achieved. The beginning of our campaign against the Rostock coal-fired power plant was a projection in the middle of the night to draw people's attention to this problem. So there you can see it. As you can see, we changed the O of the CO2 to the power off button symbol, which gave it a nice touch, I think. Yeah, back to the meeting. Our goal is to have the power plant shut down as soon as possible, preferably as early as 2025. We hope to achieve this by getting the city to withdraw funding to the power plant. And in Rostock, we have a lot of renewable energy and therefore do not need the coal-fired power plant. We are currently collecting signatures for a citizens petition for which we have founded Rostock Kohlefrei. If you live in Rostock, please sign it. One of our other major issues is the transformation away from car-focused traffic and towards a better people-friendly life in the city. To this end, we have shown time and again in the past how much living space cars actually take away, and how much more fun and ecological, for example, cycling is, and how cities can be transformed for people instead of cars. We don't just want to complain, we also want to offer solutions and ideas. One of these ideas originally comes from San Francisco, a so-called parklet. It's quite simple. You take 1 or 2 parking spaces, or as many as you can get from the city, and build over them with seats, tables, flower beds, bicycle stands, and whatever you can think of. Yeah, the result was quite nice, as you can see here. That was the parklet we built. And yeah, it was in the streets for a whole summer before it had to be deconstructed. But many people used it, and many people of all ages, and it really improved the living quality in that area. Another important topic in our work is Greenpeace Rostock is a mindset shift on a personal level. We try to convince people to consume less by organizing events where people can swap their clothes. Consequently, people buy less and therefore consume less resources. That can also be related to food. We inform people about how a sustainable diet would look like, or we protest in front of supermarkets that still sell a lot of meat which was produced under horrible conditions. There is better meat available, which should be preferred. Of course, going vegetarian or vegan is even better. In Germany, this has already worked for eggs. After introducing a transparent labeling, consumers now don't want to buy eggs from caging anymore. As part of the Greenpeace Germany agricultural campaign, we work on getting this kind of labeling for meat as well. And people living in Germany may have already noticed in the supermarkets, many products already have a label on it, which was the result of Greenpeace campaigning. Of course, these are just a few examples of what we do. I can't go into every detail and everything we've done. That would be a whole other event. But if you want to learn more about us or our achievements, check our social media accounts or join our group. We would love to welcome you. And now back to Sophia.
Yeah, thank you, Flo, for the introduction of the Greenpeace group in Rostock. I will go on with a short, some information about Greenpeace ships in general, and then we will really start the tour. So ships are very important for Greenpeace. Actually, Greenpeace was even born with the ship Action. You might know in September 1971, an old boat called Phyllis Cormack was heading to Alaska to stop an American nuclear bomb test. And since then, ships have played an essential role in Greenpeace history. And today, Greenpeace has 4 different ships. By the way, all of them have stayed at least for a few days in Rostock, and we are really proud of that. And so the ships are the Esperanza, the ship we will visit today, the Rainbow Warrior, and the Arctic Sunrise. These 3 ships belong to Greenpeace International, and the German Greenpeace office has a ship as well, and that's called Beluga. And 2 of the ships had another life before they became Greenpeace ships. So the Esperanza is a former Russian firefighting vessel, and the Arctic Sunrise was used as a seal hunting ship until Greenpeace took action against her and later bought her. And the special thing about the Beluga and the recent Rainbow Warrior is that both were newly built for Greenpeace. So that's why they are as environmentally friendly as possible. But also the other 2 ships have been improved by taking measurements to meet the high environmental criteria. And yeah, by the way, both Arctic Sunrise and the Esperanza are ice classified, so they can sail in polar regions like the Arctic and the Antarctic. And in general, Greenpeace is using the ships for going to places where people normally cannot go in order to be a witness to what is happening out there. To give you an example, in an oceans campaign, the team documents illegal fishery and overfishing in places where often no controls are taking place at all. So this is one thing Greenpeace ships do. Another thing is they can also be used to conduct scientific research. And you might know the spectacular pictures from non-violent direct actions. That's also an important thing, because ships are used for protest, for example, against oil drilling in the Nordic waters to prevent big environmental disasters like possible oil spilling in the ice. And yeah, as you can see, the ships are used in many different ways to tackle environmental issues. And in general, campaigners and activists bring to public what they have seen and experienced in order to make a change. And I think we will hear some good stories later from the crew. So do you have any questions regarding the introductory part? Otherwise, we will board the ship now and meet the crew of the Esperanza.
Yeah, Sophia, I think you give over to me. Okay,
Yes.
Everybody. Welcome on the Esperanza. A very warm welcome, even if it's getting very cold outside now. So my name is Sinja. I'm the third mate on board, and I want to explain you a little bit about the bridge of the ship. So now we are on the bridge of the Esperanza, which is the navigation center of the ship. And it's like the brain of the ship, because from here, well, we get a lot of different relevant information. Everything is coming together here. So it's information we get from outside by visual sight about the traffic that is going on around there, about movements of the other ships calling us via Vhf radio, but also information about the situation, what's going on the ship. So for example, if there's a technical issue or something, we also will get it here. So when we are at sea, there's always a nautical officer on the bridge, 24 hours, and we are 3 nautical officers. So each of us is taking a watch of 4 hours twice a day. So like this, we are covering 24 hours. And actually the captain is out of the normal watch schedule because he has to be available, or she has to be available like 24 hours at any time. So yeah, for example, for me, I've got a shift in the morning from 8 to 12 o'clock and another in the evening from 8 to 12 o'clock. And then the second mate is taking over from me, and then the chief mate. So like this, we're covering the whole day. So if there's in good conditions, we can do the watch in the daytime alone, but in the nighttime we are always together with one watchkeeper. And the watchkeeper's priority duty is to look out. So we want to double the lookout, and also doing safety rounds every hour on the ship. So he or she will have rounds on board and checking whether all the lashings of the equipment are still fine, or whether there's any fire hazard around. And we're always in contact with a portable phone. So in the night, we're always doing these watches together. So as I already mentioned, the absolute priority doing the watch is doing a proper lookout at any time. By first mean of visual sight, but also using nautical instruments, which help us looking a little bit further, like for example, the radars or AI system, which also gives some information about traffic around us. And so I actually want to show you some of the nautical instruments. We've got ACTIS system on board, which is electronic chart display. These are nautical charts which are digital. You can see it here, like an overview chart. Now I've zoomed out a little bit. And you can see here's the port of Rostock and Warnemünde where we are. And then you can see Denmark, Sweden, all the islands of Denmark around here. And we've got a second ACTIS over here. And this one I've zoomed in so we can see here the port where we are. Actually, we're located here. And there's some other ships around us. And we can see the entrance of the harbor, and then how we go to the Baltic Sea. So these are the ACTIS systems. We've got 2 radars on board, this one and this one. Now that we are in port, they're not running, of course, but at sea, both of them will be running. So one of them is a 3 centimeter radar, and the other one is a 10 centimeter radar. So they're operating on different wavelengths. Then we have got 2 Vhf radios on the bridge, this one and this one. We've got an AIS, this is an automatic identification system. And this will give us information about the ships which are in the vicinity, about the heading, about their course over ground, about the speed, about what type of ship they are. So we have got some information about that. And we also send out our information, so the other ships receive the same information about us. Then further, we have got the wind indicator up here. So you can see right now the wind is coming in a little bit from, more or less from the port side, a little bit from the aft. It's not strong, 3.7 knots, not that much. And we see a depth sounder over here. So this is the depth below the keel, 6.9 meters at the moment. A second one is hanging over there. Just to be able to compare of if one of them is failing. And then of course, central, very central are the compasses. This is the reading of our gyro compass. So this is the compass we're normally navigating on. And we also have got a magnetic compass, which we can read here. Actually, it's installed on the roof of the bridge. We call it the Monkey Island. Don't ask me why. But actually, you can read the magnetic compass up there through this mirror when we are at sea. Now it's dark. So I think now it's very hard to see it. But this is our good old magnetic compass. And we also do have a a satellite compass, which you can read here. And satellite compass and the gyro compass, they're really the same, pretty much the same. They're both very precise. So you see there's a lot of instruments which are doubled on the ship. And this is what we call redundancy. So you find this principle back in all the essential navigation apparature, essential machinery, essential safety equipment. All what is very essential to the ship is doubled. And so if one system fails, the other one can take over. That's a very, very important one. So for example, we've got 2 firefighting pumps. We've got 3 generators down in the engine room. And as you see, the 2 radars, the 2 actor systems. So all of them are doubled. Also Hf radio, Vhf radio. This is something you find back on every ship. Also interesting here, we can see the rudder indicator over there, which is indicating in which angle the rudder is at the moment. So at the moment we are alongside on the quay side. So it is right in the middle, which means 0. But if we are turning around the ship on the wheel, it will go to port side or to starboard side. And you can directly see where's your rudder at that moment. So when we're steering the ship, maybe you're already asking yourself, where is the steering wheel here on the ship? Because normally it's a big ship. So you would expect, like in the good old movies, like a big steering wheel. But yeah, the Esperanza has not the big one where like 3 big men hanging at the same time on one side to get it turned around. So no, it's on board the Esperanza, we've got a pretty small steering wheel. It's over here. It's pretty cute actually, where we can do the hand steering. But normally, as soon as we go out of the port, we go directly over to automatic steering, and we put on the autopilot, which is on here on this panel as well. So we set a course, and actually the ship is driving itself and following the course which we have set. So every now and then we can adjust the course on the autopilot. So this makes life pretty easy, but I can tell you there's much more to do when we're doing the watches than only steering. So we're busy and keeping a good eye on all instruments, and in first instance, outside the ship, of course. Yeah, what else? Well, about the propulsion, we've got 2 different propulsion systems. One is the main engine, or actually these are 2 main engines we have on board, which are pretty strong, about 2,900 horsepower each. So we've got 2 of them. And then we've got a diesel electric propulsion system. We call it the E-drive. And the good thing about the E-drive is that it's very fuel efficient. So as soon as we go out of the port and we leave the entrance, like here when we are out of the buoys, then we go over directly to the E-drive. And this is a really nice way to move forward. And you will get some more information about machinery when we go to the engine room as well. So these are the propulsion systems. Here we've got the levers for turning the propeller. It's a controllable pitch propeller, which we have. So that means whenever we want to speed up, we are just turning a little bit the blades of the propellers, and then we will make more speed through the water. So it's not that we go up in the RPMs, in the rounds per minute, but we turn the blades of the propeller. This is quite special. Yeah, I think that's, let's have a look what I've missed. I think, yeah, something very special about the Esperanza is that this is an ICE certified vessel, an ICE-classed vessel. That means we can go with her to polar regions for doing research in ice or documentation in ice. So we can go to the Antarctic or to Arctic waters, which is quite special. And so maybe you're thinking like, how is the ship breaking the ice? So she's got an ice-shaped bow. That means we can slide up upon the ice, and with the weight of the ship, it breaks through it and it's crushing the ice. And then we go forward. It's a process which takes time, which goes quite slowly, but it's very exciting. So I've been on such a trip already, and it's really exciting to be there in the ice. Navigating in the ice is a totally different story. So the Esperanza can actually break ice up to a thickness of 1/2 meter, which is quite impressive if you think about how strong is that. That's really nice. Just a quick thing about the history. She's been built 1984 as a firefighting vessel. It's a Russian firefighting vessel. So you find everywhere on the ship still Russian names on there. And yeah, when Greenpeace got her like 18 years ago, 2001, she's been converted. So instead of the big fire pump centrally in the engine room, there has been put the e-drive. So now she's more green because she's using less fuel, but we cannot do firefighting. But what she's been doing since then, she's been fighting against, let's say, environmental crime for Greenpeace purposes. So she's a really great campaigning tool, and all of us, we love her. Yeah, are there any questions from your side?
Yeah, we have some questions. Maybe you can,
cool. Go ahead.
we can. Maybe you can give us some technical details about the length of the ship, and maybe also how many days a year the Esperanza is at sea. And yeah, maybe that's for a start, and then we have another question.
Cool. Okay, the dimensions of the ship. Yeah, she is 72 meters long over deck, and broad. She is 14 meters broad and has got a draft of roughly 4.70 meters, depends on the load we have. So whether we've got container equipment loaded. So this is a little bit the dimensions of the ship. And the second one, how many days at sea? It really depends on how dense is the campaigning schedule. So this can be very differ from so what's going on and where she's needed. But normally she's at sea for a very big part of the year. Unfortunately, not this year because of due to Corona, we had some longer lay times for logistical reasons. But normally she's out there for the biggest part of the year. So I cannot give you numbers at the moment. So this is I have to check on that, but she's really good in campaigning pretty much continuously. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, another question was if you still use paper charts and classical navigation in case the power fails, for example.
Also a good question. So as I explained before, we've got always a backup to the essential systems. So it's not only one actus, but we've got another one, and both of them are powered independently. So if one is losing power, the other one has still got a different source of power. So, and if this one also fails, we will have some nautical charts also on other digital systems. But yes, we have as a backup also a paper chart on board. But this is really the very last mean, and until we reach there, a lot of things have to really go wrong. So we are fully certified for going fully on digital charts now. Yeah. Cool. I think if there's no more questions, Anna Paula and me, we will swap, and then I will give over to Anna Paula, who will be our tour guide for the rest of the tour. And
so we have time for one more question.
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
There's one more question. Is it possible to get shore power everywhere? Was the question.
Hello everybody, I am Anna Paula and I will be the tour guide for the rest of the ship. I can answer that question about the shore power. No, it's not possible to get shore power everywhere. The harbor has to have the infrastructure for us. Harbors in South America and in Africa and most of Indonesia will not have shore power for us. Then we would run Europe, US, and most of Australia, New Zealand ports. They will have shore power, so we don't have to run our own generators. But I also think we're gonna talk about, a little bit more about that when we visit the engine room. Is there any more questions? Otherwise, we're gonna go and have a look around the ship.
Yeah, go on.
Which is nice. All right, so, okay, Sinja is getting prepared, and we're gonna go to the bow very quick. We're gonna go to the bow, which is the front of the ship. You want to show Gustav? Gustav, it's our German volunteer, he is greasing right now. So we can have a quick overview of what he's doing. He's making the ship ready and free, greasing the doors. He's doing a great work.
It's not working.
Thank you very much, Gustav. I see you later in the lounge. Careful. You have to change for the Here you can have an overview of one of our boats, and we're gonna be back in here talking with our wonderful outboard mechanic in a minute. Here is one of our recycling stations. So it's where we recycle and separate all of our garbage. And we are in between the funnels of the engine room right now. So we're gonna keep going because it's a little bit noisy here. Here is where we would have another big boat, but it's being fixed right now. And you can also see the cranes that we use to launch the boats. They are very useful, powerful tools, and I have great fun driving them. Oh, very nice. How is it going so far? Can you hear me well? Is the wind disturbing somehow?
It's just fine.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So now we are in the front of the ship, which is where we have the anchorage, like the anchor system of the ship when we need to anchor, which is different of being alongside, because when we are alongside, we use lines to attach to the harbor. And when we are at sea, we cannot do that. So we use the anchors to stop the ship and just be comfortable. We also use the anchors in actions where we want to stop the ship and avoid like somebody to arrive somewhere. Or we also use the anchors of other ships, like we climb their anchors and stuff, so they get a bit annoyed with us. And yeah, all this machinery, it's all used for the mooring lines and for the anchor systems. And this is a spare anchor. So that is how our anchors looks like. I love this anchor. She makes me feel like a soul sailor wise, you know? So we have this in here in case we lose one of our anchors, then we can, we have a spare one. Don't ask me how we would ever put that in the place because it's almost a mission impossible, but we would manage if we need to. So that's about the bow. And now we're gonna meet Erkut, our outboard mechanic from Turkey, and he's gonna talk a little bit more about the boats. So here is Erkut, and I'm gonna give him the microphones.
Hi, everybody. I can't see you, but I am a boat mechanic. My name is Erkut Ertuğ, and I have been with Greenpeace for a very long time. I started as a volunteer like in the 1994, I believe. And between 2000 and 2006, I worked on the ship as a boat mechanic. I took a very long break, and 15 years later, I'm back here again. So I would like to introduce you one of our boats. This is the Rhino, as we call it. It's like P22. Sorry, P28. It's made in UK, and it is quite a powerful boat. It is 7.5 meters long and 3.5 tons in weight. We used to have 2 of these boats, but we just borrowed one to Arctic Sunrise, so our fellow ship in the fleet. And in total, we have 6 boats, but currently we have 3. And this is the largest one we have. As I was saying, these boats are basically, you know, our main action tools that we use. So many of you are familiar within the actions. We use them, you know, sometimes with the Coast Guard, sometimes carrying stuff, ferrying people. They are very powerful and sturdy boats, especially for rough weather as well. So one interesting thing about this boat is it's a jet boat. So it doesn't have a propeller, as we know, like in the other boats. It has a jet unit that Anna is showing you now. So basically, everything is in the same with the boat's bottom. There is nothing going down. There is nothing that can tangle into the propeller, and it comes like it gives like a very big safety feature to the boat, as well as driving in the ice in the Arctic and Antarctic areas. It gives us, when there's lots of ice in the water, it gives us a very safe driving. And it has, as you can see, in the normal boat, you will have a wheel and a power, just one of these only. You just go forward, reverse, simple. But as you can see, this one has 3 levers. So I'll start with this one. This one is for the gear. This always stays in neutral when we are starting the engine. You just put it forward, and then the boat is in the operation. And with the left one, you control the power of the engine. So you adjust the revolution and how fast you want to go. But also this bucket, the jet unit controls, it goes up, so you move forward. And when you put this down, it comes back and pushes all the water back under the boat, and then so you can go reverse. Basically, without changing the power of the engine, you can go full reverse and forward, and this gives like an extra maneuverability for the boat. Basically, you can turn 360 degrees in this exactly same spot without moving forward and back. So that also gives us a quite advantage in actions, especially if we are doing lots of chasing, or if we are operating in troubled waters, like lots of lines, buoys, or shallow waters. Yeah, I talked about the boat, the weight. Yes, it has a powerful diesel, marine diesel engine. So I'm not going to tell you the brand, so it's not an advertisement, but it's a good one. It's 310 horsepower. And the cruising speed for the boat is, the 20 knots. But, depending on the weather and the driver and the load that the boat is carrying, you can, I think for short times, you can pick up to 30, 35 knots. But cruising speed, safe cruising speed is 20 knots.
Do they have any questions?
And that's pretty much it. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer if I can. It's been like 16 years, so don't be so hard.
Yeah, one question would be, how many boats do you put in the water for an action?
It really depends. It depends on the situation, depends on the action. And because, as I said, this is a big boat, but sometimes we use this as a media boat. We put the journalists and photographers into this, and we take the small boats for action. In total, we have 6 boats, and it's totally up to the planning to use 1 boat, 2 boats, or all of them.
Okay, thank you. And another question is regarding the anchor. Now, maybe Anna Paula can answer it, if not you. The question is, how much does the anchor weigh? Maybe you know it. Maybe you know a number.
Anchor of the Esperanza.
Yeah.
Okay, Anna, do you know how heavy the anchor of the Esperanza? 1 is, it's about 1.5 ton approximately, 1,475 kilos. 1 each, and we have 2 of them, and probably as a spare as well, right?
Okay, yeah, thank you for introducing us to the boats. I think we can go on now, because the other questions are regarding the life on board and how to get in volunteer. We will answer that later in the launch.
Okay, that's great. I'm again happy to meet you guys, and this is wonderful that you guys are here virtually, and I'll pass I am passing these.
To Ana Paula again. Technology, guys. God help us with it. So that's how we go up and down the boats. Hello, everybody. I look like a monkey, but that's just part of the job. Okay, so we're gonna have a quick look inside the heli hangar. And just a very quick look. Here is where we can store a helicopter. The blades has to be taken off, but then we can push the helicopter inside here if we need to protect it from the weather or whatever else. We also have like a whole fire system to protect the helicopter in case of something goes wrong, which is a big extinguisher phone that goes to work like when we go in the heli deck. The door is closed now. So when we go around and have a look in the heli deck, we can see the system for firefighting over there. But for now that we don't have a helicopter, we use the heli hangar for ping pong competitions, a little bit of gym, gymnastics, and other things. You know, it's it's a nice play. It's a nice place where we can have all this space available for us. So let's go to the deck, to the heli deck. Ooh. So here is the heli deck, where you can see that we can land small helicopters. We put those nets down, and then the helicopter can come. We used to use helicopters for fishery campaigns, and for search and rescue, and to find, and also in the Arctic to see the ice, so we could find our way through the ice. And then we're gonna go to the poop deck, which is it's under where I am now. And in the poop deck, there is a lot of things going on as well. If you have any questions about this station or the heli hangar, just feel free to come forward with it.
Yeah, there's one question regarding the helicopters. Is Greenpeace renting? Yeah, is Greenpeace renting the helicopters or owner of one or more helicopters?
We used to own a helicopter some 5 years ago, but nowadays we rent helicopters, and whenever possible, we use drones nowadays for fuel and safety reasons. So if we can do the job with a good drone, we do it with it. Otherwise, we will rent a small helicopter with the pilot, because I don't think none of us really know how to drive a helicopter. So the pilot comes in the deal. So here is the poop deck. And here is the poop deck. We have another recycling station in here. And these are the kayaks. So we have these 2 kayaks that we use for action and leisure. Like whenever it's cool and nice, like we can put them in the water and go around the harbors and rivers where we are. And you can show also our beautiful painting. This was a volunteer who did this painting a couple of years ago. It's in our recycling station. So we make sure that we recycle all the garbage we have on board and dispose it in the safest way possible. We're gonna talk with Sophie, which is also our French volunteer, who is also greasing like a Gustav. Apparently, it's the only 2 ones working around. I don't know where the other ones are. Thank you, Sophie. Meet you soon in the lounge. So we are entering now the wet room. Hey everybody, wow, look at that. I just found 3 more deckhands in here, and they seem to be very busy and uniform. Is the wet room, the kingdom of the deckhands and the deck team. It's where we have all our tools and where we work and where we fix the ship, we paint the ship, we break rust. And it calls wet room because we have a door in here. So there is this big door that we can open in the middle of the hull of the ship, and then the pilot can come on board. It's also where we receive the boats. So when we launch the boats and then they come alongside the ship, we open the door and then we can lower ourselves down to the boats, like to go for actions, training, deliveries, whatever we need to do with the boats. So here, what else do we have here? A lot of tools. So now it's when we're gonna go to the engine room, and then I meet you back in the ECR, the engine control room. Let's go. Here is the main alleyway of the ship, the main working alleyway. And here is one of the main entrances for the engine room. So let's go down, follow me. This is a fireproof door, and it's a very heavy door to protect us from anything that might happen in the engine room. And this is Ian, one of our engineers, and he's gonna help us out with the tour around here to understand a little bit more. Go, Ian.
Hello. This is the engine room, where the engines are for the propulsion of the ship. Basically, we have 2 ways of driving our ship through the water. We can either use these over here, which is like an electric motor. So we can, with a propeller shaft going down here, so we can either clutch in. Oh dear, I've got to go in front, sorry. We've got a propeller shaft going down here, so we can clutch in the propeller shaft through this gearbox, either through this electric motor or through this engine behind us, which is our main engine. All right. So we have 2 propeller shafts, we have 2 main engines, and we have 2 electric motors on each engine, on each shaft, sorry. Basically, if we use the main engines, we only use them when we want to go fast, or if we're going in and out of port as well, we use the 2 main engines. Most of the time when we're using this ship, we use the electric motors, and that's because we save a lot of fuel if we use the electric motors. It's a lot quieter and greener. But unfortunately, it means we can't go as fast, but it's okay, isn't it? So I guess we could go up the front. Sorry. So this is like a fire pump. So if we have a fire, we have to be able to use that, obviously. If you come around here, I don't know if you can see down here, we've got a few separators. They're basically spinning filters, and we use those to clean our fuel and our oil we use in the engines. We have a lot of coolers around the engine room as well, because we have to cool everything. We cool everything with fresh water, but we use salt water to cool the fresh water. So basically what we have is we have lots of heat exchangers everywhere, and we cool everything with salt water, and we keep it away from our machinery, and then we put fresh water in the machinery. So this is the main engine room, really. If you come through here, I'll show you on the part. come this way. This is the forward engine room. All right. So basically, what we have in here is we have our means of producing electricity. So we have 3 generators. You can see the 2 generators here, and there's a generator here as well. Okay. But we also have this, which is the Wärtsilä. And the Wärtsilä is really, really good because the Wärtsilä is a diesel engine, but it has 2 generators, one at either end. So with the generator at this end, we can power the whole ship, like all the lights, all the domestic needs, everything we need from the generator at this end. And from the generator at that end, we power the E motors you saw in the main engine room. So it's very efficient, like, and it saves a lot of money and lots of CO2 as well. If you look over here, this is our heat recycling system. So basically, when you run an engine, you produce heat. So what we do, go over here. So what we do is we take the heat from the engine, the waste heat, and we recycle it and we put it into our domestic water system. We can use it to preheat the engines as well, and we can use it for our central heating as well. So it's not a Greenpeace thing. This is a thing that you see on any ship. Like, but it's quite good. It's quite clever. It's quite simple as well. So that's it really for the engine room. Engineers rule. I'm done.
Thank you, Ian. So here is where our engine room tour ends. And if you have got any questions, we can get that in a minute in the engine control room with another engineer. Think about that. I meet you up there.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me well again?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. So just going back to that question about the shore power, the tour in the engine room was just possible. Because we are in shore power. So that's why it's very quiet down in the engine room. And now we're gonna go in the engine control room. It's where we can control the engine. And here, our lovely chief engineer, Freddie, is gonna answer your questions if you have any.
Hello. Hello, I'm Freddie, chief engineer. Hi to everybody. I work here since 2006 on this ship, but also on the other 2. Okay, I will show you around the control room where we can control all the propulsion, generation of electricity, etc. Yeah? We have here, this is the propulsion console, yeah, where we can start all the related equipment and monitor parameters for the main engines, for the electric motors for propulsion, for the thrusters, yeah, we have alarm panels also here. As you see, symmetrical, yeah, so this is for starboard side and this is for port side, yeah. In case the remote control for moving the engines or the pitch is failing in the bridge, we can switch the control to the ECR, to the engine control room here, and move it from here, with this lever, yeah, and communicate with the bridge at the same time. Here we have the alarm panel. Yeah, we have quite a lot of alarm channels, and here we have, this is our monitoring system, computerized, which we can check here all the parameters. This is, for example, for the main diesel generator, which powers the propulsion and the rest of the auxiliaries in the ship. This here we can check the main and after engine room parameters. Yeah, and like this we have several screens. Yeah, and on the other monitor we have the alarms. Yeah, all the alarms are seen here. Yeah, it's normal to have all these alarms. They are not inhibited. Yeah, when we have everything stopped, all these alarms are there. But it's not because there is a fault, it's because the machinery is not running now. Yeah? Then we have electrical distribution panels. Yeah? All the equipment is powered from here and from this panel. And this is what we call in any ship the main switchboard, yeah? Which is where the switchboard that receives the electrical supply from the generators. Yeah? So we can select which generator we want to use and change over, running in parallel, yeah, etc., etc. And then we have here, okay, working computers for 2 people, and all the manuals of the ship are here, in this cabinet here, and in this file cabinet here. Yeah? So very often we need to consult them. We also have some digital copies. When this ship was converted by Greenpeace in 2001, it was not still not widely used digitally. Yeah? So we don't have everything in digital. In the new Rainbow Warrior is more digital than paper. Yeah? Here is more paper than digital. So, okay, I hope that gives a nice overview of the control room. Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, we have. I have 2 questions for you. One is, has there ever been an accident while an action was going on in the engine room? Yeah, maybe that's first, and then I ask the other question afterwards.
You mean an accident related with the actions?
I don't know. It was the question just like that. Maybe an accident in the engine room regarding the machines or anything that
okay.
Didn't
well,
work
we had a couple of times accidents with ammonia plants, because here the refrigeration plants, yeah, when Greenpeace converted the ship in 2001, they installed new plants with ammonia. Yeah, why ammonia? Because for refrigerating fluids, yeah, they have to potentially damaging
I stopped for a moment the connection. Can you repeat?
So ammonia has zero for both. Okay, using for cooling the food and air conditioning, yeah, in any place in the world, even household, they have potential harm for the environment. And Greenpeace installed in 2001 2 ammonia plants, yeah, and the ammonia has 0 ozone depleting coefficient and 0 global warming coefficient, yeah. So this ship is the only Greenpeace ship that has this system, yeah. But the bad side of ammonia is that it can be harmful if you have a leak, yeah. It can be harmful for humans, yeah. At some concentration, it can burn your tissues, yeah, your skin, even your lungs if it gets inside. We have a lot of safety precautions regarding this, but a couple of times we had accidents, yeah. I was personally in one of them.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes the connection wasn't that good in between. I hope you all understand everything. We have 2 more questions, I think. One is why the electric propulsion is more fuel efficient than the direct diesel drive. And maybe related to that, are there plans to change to liquid gas? Can you say something about that?
Okay. Regarding the plans to change to liquid gas, there is nothing that I'm aware. Why the electric propulsion is more efficient? Okay, basically because we are running only one engine for generation for the ship, for the auxiliaries and pumps, yeah, and at the same time for propulsion. In any ship, you use one, in any ship with direct diesel propulsion, you use one engine for propulsion, and at the same time, we need one generator for powering the rest, yeah? Here, they made, if we can go in this way, I will show you. Yeah. They made a very interesting concept, which means we have one engine that has two generators, one on one side and the other on the other side. So by running only one engine, yeah, you power the propulsion with this one and the rest of the ship with this one. So that is why it's more efficient, yeah? Is that clear?
Yes, I think so. I think, yeah, to be more concrete, the question was if there's any loss of energy during the electricity generation.
Oh, yes, there is. But that is, of course, there is. Yeah, you convert from thermal to mechanical, from mechanical to electric, and then from electric to mechanical again. That's very good engineering thinking. Yeah, but the fact that we use only one engine for the two services is covering that in abundance.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think that was it for the engine control room. I can see
okay.
More questions related to that. There's one question regarding the water. Maybe you can, the freshwater cycle, maybe you can explain it a little bit.
Okay, how do we get fresh water for us for consumption, potable water? Okay,
yes.
We have a reverse osmosis water maker, yeah, which is basically doing building pressure in a set of membranes, especially designed so the water, when reaches a critical pressure, yeah, the membranes are rejecting the minerals, the salts. So these salts are sent overboard again, yeah, and what passed through is the demineralized water, yeah, and that is what we drink all the time, unless when we are in harbor that we load the water from shore, yeah, from the same network that you have at home. It comes to the port, we connect the hose, and we load our tanks. That is one machine, the reverse osmosis. That is what we use for drinking. Then we have an evaporator that is using the residual heat from the engines. Yeah? What is the residual heat? It's like in your car, yeah? The radiator is throwing all the heat that the engine needs to be taken to not overheat to the atmosphere. Yeah? Here on ships, we normally take that heat by circulation of seawater. Yeah, we cool the engine with seawater, not with air like in a car. Yeah, the evaporator instead is using this heat instead of heating the seawater for nothing. Yeah, is using this heat in a vacuum chamber to boil water at 60 degrees. You know that the boiling point of a fluid changes with the pressure. So when you put the seawater in a vacuum chamber, you are able to boil it at 60 degrees. Yeah, and then after that boiling process, it evaporates, it hits another coil with seawater, cold seawater circulation, it condensates, yeah, and then it's collected by a pump. But this machine, we normally use it only for the engines, yeah, for the cooling water, for filling our engines with cooling water, the same as you put coolant in your car. Why? Because the production is of a much higher quality than the reverse osmosis. The reverse osmosis removes mineral enough for you to drink, but not enough to put in a car, for example. Yeah, it will create corrosion. The evaporator removes completely the minerals with almost less than 0.5 ppm of total dissolved solids. And then we use that for the engines. Is that correct? Too much complication? I don't know.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering that in every detail. I think we should go on now, even though there are many questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you later in the lunch.
Thank you, Freddie.
Okay.
Amazing. All right, so we are back, and we're gonna have a quick peek in the galley, and then we're gonna go to the lounge to speak with all the crew members, and I'm sure they have a lot of stories to share and everything else. Thank you again.
Okay, bye-bye, guys. Bye.
Here we go. So here is still part of the working alleyway. We have a working sink where we can wash our dirty, greasy hands after working on deck. We have the engineer workshops and the electrician workshop just in the alleyways. And here is the galley. Ronnie, hello, Ronnie. Thank you very much for making delicious meal. Meet the crew of the Esperanza. Thank you so much for being here with us so far. And now we're gonna change the technology, or how that goes. I don't really know.